You could spend months just trying to build your foundation in, say, logical reasoning, for example, and never even make it to time practice tests in the weeks before test day. I find far too many students are waiting for some magical moment when the foundation will be complete before they move on to pacing and endurance. This is a huge mistake. There are, of course, roughly 15 different types of logical reasoning questions. You don't need to achieve perfection on all of them before moving into pacing and endurance. What you want to do instead is think about what are the big wins so that you can work smarter, not harder. I don't want you getting mired in the minutia. Don't get stuck in the details. Think about instead, what's the low-hanging fruit that will give you disproportionate bang for your buck? Of course, the importance of the logical reasoning section will be doubled starting with the August LSAT, so you don't want to obsess over reading comprehension if you haven't yet mastered logical reasoning. Focus on what is the lowest of the low-hanging fruit to build your foundational understanding, then take your wins and move on from there. The simplest, easiest question types in logical reasoning, for example, are going to be how to identify the conclusion. You want to focus on your conditional indicator words for necessary and sufficient conditions, as well as evidence and conclusion indicator words. These are going to carry you really, really far. If you don't know them, of course, you're in big trouble. So start there. How do I tell necessary versus sufficient? How do I determine evidence versus conclusion? The different parts of the argument. Once you've got those foundational concepts down, move on to the most common logical reasoning question types. In logical reasoning, for example, those are going to be necessary assumption, inference, and flaw. You don't want to focus on the rare question types that hardly ever show up, since every question is worth the same. In other words, don't spend time on evaluate the argument and parallel if you can't yet handle inference questions. In reading comprehension, you want to focus on getting the main idea down first and foremost. That's going to help you knock out a good chunk of reading comp questions. Regarding pacing, in logical reasoning, the first 10 questions are going to be the easiest because there is a general order of difficulty in the logical reasoning section. Make sure you nail those. If you can't nail the first 10, you have a problem, and then you don't want to be worrying about questions 15 through 23, which are going to be some of the toughest if you can't yet get the first 10 questions down. In reading comprehension, focus on the main idea and the other general global questions like what is the primary purpose, how is the passage organized, what would be the best title for the passage, the author's opinion, the tone. Knock those out first. You might even do some reading comp drills where you just read the passage and solve the general global questions. Then later, you worry about how to solve the detail-oriented questions and the more inferential questions that require a bit more reading between the lines. Now, if you're taking it in June and you still have logic games on your agenda, you want to make sure that you knock out the orientation question for each game. Those are your gimmies. And of course, also do some local questions that give you a jumping off point by saying, for example, if X is on slot 3, then which one of the following could be true, for example, and move on from there. But bottom line, focus on the quick wins, start there, and don't wait too long before moving on to pacing and endurance so that you can bring it all together before test day. You want to make sure that you have a detailed plan of attack regarding how to allocate your LSAT study time. So make sure that you lay out a detailed step-by-step LSAT study plan for yourself so that you know exactly what to do every single day between now and test day whenever you're taking the LSAT. Now, one of the things we do at LSAT Unplugged for all of our students is create for them a personalized day-by-day study plan to lay out exactly how to allocate your time, what to do, what not to do, so that you're not wasting your time on things that hardly ever come up, and that you're not spending too long before getting into the timed portions of your prep to work on your pacing and endurance, pulling it all together for what test day will actually look like. And so, if you'd like my help with that, you can check out the links below the video to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.